everyone, and welcome to the 30-Day Summit, where Russell Brunson has brought together a collection of his top 2 Comma Club and 8-figure award winners to share with you how they would literally survive and begin to rebuild their business in just 30 days if they lost it all. My name is Bailey Richard, and right now I'm delighted to be speaking with Caitlin Pyle. Caitlin is a former freelance proofreader turned multi-million-dollar mediapreneur whose online empire has helped thousands of people learn the skills they can use to generate income from home. Caitlin firmly believes that living the life you want is possible if you're willing to work for it. She's been featured in various notable media outlets such as Forbes.com, The New York Post, Business Insider, Fast Company, and Founder. So Caitlin, welcome to the summit.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, it's an absolute pleasure to have you, and I'm excited to dive into this right now. So from the very beginning of your 30-day plan, you're very clear about your approach. Build an automated webinar funnel for a general proofreading business building course. My very first question is, why the automated webinar funnel? Why is that your strategy?
Well, I think a lot of the ClickFunnels community knows Julie Stoyan, and so she was definitely a role model for me. She had rebuilt my very first funnel for proofreadanywhere.com, and we had seen great results with that. And I'd seen some of her funnels, and now she set up an automated webinar, and I was like, I just want to do that. And so people have been asking me for a second course for a very long time, and I just kept resisting. It's just like, I have one course, and that's all I need. But then I figured out how to make it happen. And then I was like, I want to do an automated webinar funnel. And so I kind of broke the rules. I've never done this webinar live, but I followed the perfect webinar funnel. And ultimately it started out with, I just want to set this up as like an additional revenue source, but it ended up surprising everybody in that it became our #1 earning product. And it like essentially doubled our revenue in the business just with this one course alone, built entirely on ClickFunnels. So it surprised everybody, mostly me.
That's fantastic and definitely surprising, but it's always a nice surprise when things like that happen in business, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so let's dive deep into the actual 30-day plan then. So you say that during week 1, your main focus is on actually outlining and creating your course modules so that you can have a minimum viable product, and then also building up your credibility online by getting testimonials from former one-on-one clients. And you said something really poignant that I really wanted to bring out and kind of share in this interview, that you said, since I don't have my former reputation, I have to create my own credibility. What exactly did you mean by that?
So it's when you have to kind of get creative, because so many people are like, oh, I haven't like sold this course before, so why are people going to buy it? Well, you have to kind of think outside the box, color outside the lines a little bit, and think about, okay, have you helped people for free doing the thing that you do? How many people have asked you to help them? And are there people that are interested in doing what you do that you could help? Maybe you haven't helped them, but you could in exchange for a testimonial. You can create that credibility. I mean, to this day, I've got a 12-minute video that I recorded with the last person I trained one-on-one for free in proofreading, and that video is still up, and it's from 2014, and we have updates posted below the video about how she's doing. And I mean, obviously I've changed, my hair's grown a lot since that video was done, but when I first started Proofread Anywhere, I didn't have any testimonials about the training program itself, but I had this person whom I taught just via email, just like by me telling her what to do and sending her a practice transcript and then reviewing that and just helping her one-on-one, and then her going and taking action on it. And so we just talked about her journey, and she moved to Ecuador and all kinds of crazy stuff. And now she has a baby and she's still proofreading. So it was just, you kind of have to use what you've got and don't think it's too little, because anything you've got is worthwhile. And so you should definitely use it.
Absolutely. I really love the lesson here, because I'm hearing from so many of the different people on this summit that testimonials are really key to selling any product or service, but especially online courses. But I agree with you. I think so many people who are putting out a brand new product get really hung up on the fact that they don't have anybody to comment on the actual course itself, when in fact, a lot of testimonials just about your methodology or how, great you are at what you do in general can still be huge forms of social proof.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's why I would recommend, if you are teaching somebody how to do what you do, say you've got a Facebook ads course, or in my case, I'd been a freelance proofreader before I started teaching, highly recommended that you actually do the thing that you're teaching before you start teaching it. I know that, there's, not not so high quality people out there that are trying to create courses based on other people selling courses and how to do stuff they've never done and whatnot, but not getting into that. But just talk to people for whom you performed the service or did the thing. And so I went and I talked to my top clients, and that was initially all I had on my website besides this little video were things that my previous clients who had paid me to do work, or actually at the point they are current clients, what they thought of my proofreading work. And so not students that I had taught necessarily, but people who are like, Kayla knows what she's talking about. She gets paid by me on a regular basis. And so you can, listen to her. And if you can proofread anything like her, you're going to be successful type thing.
Absolutely. Okay, I'd love to continue moving on in your 30-day plan. So from the end of week 1 all the way up until day 17, you really focus on creating the assets for your webinar funnel, your script, your slides, your offer, etc. So I was wondering if there's any tips or thoughts that you can share with us specifically on this segment of your plan.
Yeah, so I don't really have like a rhyme. I have a rhyme or I don't really have a rhyme or reason to it. I was just like, I wanted to build the thing, and I knew what it was going to build, so I wanted to build it and make sure I had got that out of the way, because the worst thing you can do, and I think that there are some people that will say the complete opposite of this, but in my mind, I'm like, if I don't have a quality product, it doesn't matter how good my marketing is. But there's some people who think as long as your marketing is good, it doesn't matter if your product's terrible, but it does matter in my opinion. And so it was really important that I just get that squared away, and then I make sure that I at least get things started, because I can always go back and polish it later, but I want to make sure all those key elements are there. And I'm just really big on quality and value and over delivering. And it sounds super cliche, but it's just surprising to see, not very many people focus on that anymore, because it's just like all about the marketing. And it's true that if you have a great product, it doesn't matter how good it is if you don't market it well and whatnot. So that's true, but you can have great marketing and a great product. You don't have to have one or the other, I don't think so. And I knew that the automated webinar funnel was relatively simple, and so that the most time-consuming thing was actually going to be creating the content, because the worst thing that I could do was, focus all my energy on creating the funnel and then get people into it and buy the thing, and then it not be really even worthwhile. And so, because that's like the fastest way to ruin your reputation, is to just move too quickly. So I wanted to make sure that I had plenty of time, and doing those things first ensured that I would have plenty of time.
And you do mention in your 30-day plan that you follow Russell Brunson's perfect webinar script as well, right?
Yeah. So I didn't necessarily follow it like point by point, because he has so many different alternative endings and stuff. And so within .comSecrets and some of the bonuses you get with that book, for example, there was just different ways to close. And I think I combined like 2 or 3 different ones, and I loved certain elements, and some elements didn't quite fit with my style. And so I was able to pick and choose, and just as long as like the key elements of, the value stack were there, and then, the 3 secrets and whatnot. And I don't even have the perfect webinar formula memorized, but in my mind, I'm like, okay, you just set it up, you get people ready, you get people excited, and then you give them the 3 secrets and just pile on the value. And then I always use a stay to the end bonus as well, to give them incentive to stay all the way to the end. And it's usually worthwhile. I knew that it was simple, and I wanted to use the automated webinar formula, and I absolutely recommend that people do webinars the way Russell did. And I do agree that if you do it, live, I think he says like 50 times you should do a webinar live before you ever record it. I do agree that for most people that's really good. But I do really well with scripts. I don't do as well when I have to like make stuff up, but with scripts, I can make it sound like I'm speaking off the cuff, especially if people can't see me. Obviously, if you're reading on a teleprompter, people are going to see that you're reading a script, but if I have a script in front of me and there's slides on the screen, then I can just make it sound as natural as possible. Sometimes even in the script, I'll write in and ums, like in the exact right places to make it feel authentic. So, but not everybody can do that. And so that's why I think doing it live 50 times is still really good advice.
Absolutely. Practice makes perfect. So I do want to mention something about the offer in the webinar. In your 30-day plan, you mentioned several times how you have to make it a no-brainer. So I was wondering if you could explain a little bit more what you meant.
Yeah, really everything I do is a no-brainer. And I've actually, without him saying it, I've noticed that Russell does this as well. Just an offer you can't refuse type thing. So that you would literally have to be like, well, I guess I'm crazy because I'm not buying this. If they're the right person, if they're your ideal client, there's absolutely no way that unless they just have like huge major mindset issues, which is often the case, that it's definitely, otherwise I would have 100% conversion rate, but, well, closer to 100, but, really just pulling out all the stops and making it as minimal as possible of a risk that people could say, no, it's not quite good enough of a deal. You just want to make it a no-brainer. And that's how Russell got like so many people to sign up for 2 Comma Club X at Funnel Hacking Live in March, because he just made it a no stinking brainer. And so that's what I always try to do too. And anything I do, any product I create, any, online summit I do or whatever, just really easy for people to hop on board.
Absolutely. And I think that one of the things that a lot of people who are creating these webinars aren't focused on is how good their offer is. They're always thinking it's something like, it's the mindset issue of the client, or they're just not willing to pay the price, or, maybe the script is wrong. And yeah, those can definitely be issues, but the reality is sometimes what you're selling just isn't quite good enough, and we have to face those facts.
Yeah, absolutely. Or there's somebody out there who's got something better, or it's true that they could be, there's so many things that could be wrong. They could just be confused, or they don't really know what they want. And of course the mindset issues and all that. But if your offer is not good, or you don't do a good job delivering it, then it's going to be hard to sell regardless.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. I'd love to keep moving on in the plan. So towards the end of week 2, beginning of week 3, you mentioned creating an affiliate program for your course. So what do you say to people who would respond to this section of the plan by stating that it's too difficult to get people to promote their product if they're new in their niche, for example, their business is new, this is a brand new product? What would you say to them?
Well, that's definitely a default response. I know I thought the same thing. I'm like, what's going to make these people want to promote? But then I started looking around. Actually, I started with just Googling, who's writing about proofreading, who's writing about working at home, stuff like that. When I initially found affiliates for my first course way back in early 2015, when I launched that as an online course. And I thought, why would they want to promote this? They don't know who I am. I don't have any credibility, whatever. But the fact of the matter is there are plenty of other people who are just a few steps ahead of you that are just looking for offers to promote. And so you don't have to go for the biggest fish. And in fact, I never recommend that, because people are like, how do I start working with affiliates? It's always find some people who are maybe 6 months to a year, maybe 2 years ahead of you, that have a small list, anywhere from 500 to 5,000 people, maybe 10,000 people that have, small to medium sized lists. Email lists that are, that's their only thing to do is to blog. And there's so many bloggers that are looking for great offers to promote. And if it's relevant to their audience, then many of them are like, okay, well, what else am I going to do? Maybe I'm already talking about proofreading, but it's not monetized, or maybe I only have an Amazon link to a $5 ebook about proofreading or something. And so I'm obviously just using mine as an example, but for my people, of course it's all in the pitch and how you present yourself, and, if you have typos in your email and stuff like that, but, positioning it to where it's hard for them to say no. So again, positioning it like a no-brainer and saying, hey, I know that you write about proofreading, but it's not monetized. How about I write a guest post, or I set up a written interview, and I could even write the questions for you so they don't have to even do any work, and then just basically do all the work for them. All I have to do is hit post and send it out to their email list. And I could even write a swipe email. For example, we only have one swipe email for our general proofreading webinar, and all they have to do is send that email invitation out to their email list. It's like the easiest thing ever. So just making it super, super easy, not going for the big fish right away, because what happens is if you get results for the medium and small fish, then you can go to the big fish and say, so-and-so, drop some names, because they'll often know who they are, or they can look them up and see, and you can show them the example post, and you can name drop and say, okay, well, so-and-so has made X number of dollars and has this EPC, or whatever it is, whatever stats you want to give them, whatever they respond best to get them on board. And then again, just continue that no-brainer aspect where you write the unique content for them and just make it so easy and just hard for them to say no to you.
I absolutely love this piece of advice. It's the exact same advice that I give to my clients as well, because I'm often teaching on summits, which require you to go out and form a lot of affiliate relationships. And this is one of the biggest barriers that I see to people wanting to take that step and actually do their own summit, or, any kind of JV partnership. And that's exactly what I tell them, is that, you don't need to find the top A-list celebrity in your niche to partner with. The reality is that there's a lot of people that are just a few steps ahead of you that are the perfect partners.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. So, okay, let's keep moving on. So one of the things that was really unique about your 30-day plan that I wanted to touch upon was actually in day 23, where you discussed reaching out to people on Fiverr who are already making money with their proofreading services. But since you know that they're not necessarily doing it the right way, they're trading their time for money by being on this Fiverr platform, you want to offer them an enrollment in your course in exchange for a testimonial. I thought this was kind of a novel approach for testimonials that I hadn't seen in anybody else's 30-day plan. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about this.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just from the very beginning. I haven't done this since the very beginning, but I was just thinking back to what I did, and I didn't know anything about marketing just over 3 years ago. And so in desperation and not having money to put into advertising yet, or so I thought, I didn't even think about that as an option. And I didn't know what I was doing yet. So I was like, okay, well, where do the proofreaders hang out? And that's always advice that I give to my students now is, okay, where do the people that you want to work with hang out? And so I wasn't making a pitch. I wasn't trying to sell them anything. And so I don't think it was against the Fiverr's terms of agreement or conditions. But I reached out to them, and I actually asked a few of them if they would want to be interviewed for my blog. So that was really just for exposure and just so they'd have this link and or a link back to them in some way, which is obviously really good because they get a follow link back to their site. And so I did that some, but then I don't think I ever asked them for a testimonial, but that's what I would do now if I could go back. And I don't know if that's soliciting or if it's term and conditions, but I mean, I could probably get through to a few without getting caught anyway. It's risky, but so I don't know if that's the best advice. But you could go and just connect with those proofreaders and say, hey, I've got this new course and this different type of proofreading that I don't think you're doing. And invite them to check it out for free in exchange for a testimonial, and they could have lifetime access. And I would maybe only do that for like 5 or 10 people. And I'd make sure that, they were kind of in the age group I was looking for. And most of my students are female, so I'd probably pick more females and do some video interviews and things like that with them. Probably would expect to get very few responses initially, but I can just follow up, or there's so many proofreaders on Fiverr that I'm sure I just need maybe 3 to 5 to say yes. And then I've got what I need. So it's not like I have to spend a ton of time on it. So. Well,
I thought this was a really novel approach because that question that you mentioned, where does my ideal client hang out online, I think is something that a lot of people do ask themselves when they're getting started, but the answers tend to always be the same no matter what niche you're in. It's what Facebook groups, or are they hanging out on Pinterest? But the reality is that we can be creative and start thinking a little bit outside the box about where we might be able to find those ideal clients. And that's what I really liked about this point.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even guest posting, you can, like, for example, I could go and try to guest post on Scary Mommy because a lot of my students are moms. Any blog they tend to read, and there's different tools. You can use Facebook Insights, Audience Insights to look for different blogs that email list follow, or I wouldn't have an email list if I were doing the 30-day whatever, but using what resources you have, even the blogs that I would frequent, a Mind Body Green, stuff like that. I could go and guest post about working from home and mention proofreading and link back to my site if that's allowed for contributors, anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Caitlin, it's been an absolute pleasure talking with you on this interview. We are getting close to our time, so I would love to just open the floor to you if there's any final thoughts or words of wisdom specifically about your 30-day plan that you'd like to share with the audience.
Yeah, definitely. I would just say keep it simple and don't try to reinvent the wheel. Use what you have, dig deep, and not try to spend too much time embellishing or making it too frilly, because you can always go back and even live edit. I mean, that's not something I don't think I'm like Frank Kern. He's like, I don't have time to split test. And so I know that I do and he does, but it's just not something I would do in the first 30 days. And so even though there's so many different tactics and strategies and things that you could spend your time doing, get the basics down, focus on quality, and you can always go back and fix things and improve things later. And that's what we're doing now, even with our 2 funnel, is we're remodeling it to a second version after about a year of it going. So you can always go back and fix it.
Excellent advice. Caitlin, thank you so much for being a part of the 30-Day Summit. We really appreciate it. And for those of you watching at home, I'm not quite done yet. I wanted to ask you a really quick question before you go. Do you feel like you are ready to embark on your own 30-day journey to success? Well, if that is the case, then I have good news for you. I would love you to click on the button on this page so that you can learn more about and join the One Funnel Away Challenge, where you're going to have an opportunity to craft your own personalized and customized 30-day journey to success and getting that next funnel launched with the help and guidance of a 2 Club coach. And that is not all. Whenever you join the program, you're also going to have an opportunity to snag some incredible bonuses, including a physical copy of the 30 Days book, where we've put together all of the 30 speakers' 30-day plans inside of this fantastic, just wonderful book. Plus, you're also going to be getting unlimited access to the interview with Caitlin that you just watched, and of course, all of the other summit speakers being featured on this event. And you're going to be getting a second behind-the-scenes interview with every single one of the speakers on this event, where they're actually going to be showing me via screen share how it is that they have set up their 2 Club funnels. That's actually my favorite part of the whole program, because the value in those videos is absolutely out of this world. So if you're considering creating your own 30-day plan to success and you want to snag all of those awesome bonuses, then the One Funnel Away Challenge is exactly what you need. So click on the button on this page to learn more and upgrade. And Caitlin, one more time, thank you so much for being a part of the summit. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.